All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of CroomTalk. Today I am here with a special guest, even though it seems like every guest is special, but we also have a 30th birthday in the building, Josh Byrne.
Hey, my man. Thank you for having me on, bro.
Yes, sir. So how's your day going?
Dude, birthdays are weird.
Yeah.
Birthdays are weird, man. I feel like, your phone's blowing up nonstop and trying to just get through it. And you don't want to be like rude and like look anybody off.
Yeah.
Right. So, and then there's IG, it's popping off and there's a lot. So, it's good, but it's interesting for sure.
Do you feel the need to like acknowledge every single one?
That's what's hard about it, man. Cause it's
Yeah.
like, the majority of them, it's like, yo, these are all my boys, they're all my people. And, I want to make sure I take the time to say what's up or, acknowledge those people that mean something to me. But then like, it's almost looking like I'm looking them off for a while because it's like, I want to take the time to say thank you and whatnot. But, but then there's, some people that you're kind of like, there's just only so much time in the day.
You would devote your whole birthday to responding to people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, is that what the day is supposed to be about, right? Like,
do you have any plans?
I'm doing a little coaching later on tonight.
It's one way to celebrate your birthday.
Yeah, hey, give back to the kids, man.
Yeah.
Got to give back to Buffalo and in the city. So doing that and then going to dinner with my fiance, which will be nice, and having a chill little night.
Where's dinner?
Was it Casa Azul?
Okay. Yeah, they relocated a little bit ago, but
yeah. It's a cool little spot.
Yeah.
Kind of nothing too crazy, just relaxing, get some good food in.
Yeah.
Maybe a glass of wine. We'll see.
I mean, you have to celebrate a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only your 30th birthday.
Man, I hate that you say 30. Every time I hear it come out your own.
Well, I feel like I'm just taking advantage of that because I'm gonna hear it again in like 2 months for myself. So it's just like,
yeah, dude, 30s.
Ain't it crazy how quick life goes?
Man, I still feel like I'm 18.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. I feel, on the other hand, like I'm 40-something, so I don't have that benefit.
Yeah, I mean, listen, my body feels like it might be 70, but I feel like mentally, I feel like I'm just like an 18-year-old still trying to figure out the world, but
yeah,
part of it.
I feel like you gotta learn a little bit every day. That's just part of it.
Big time, man. You gotta, I mean, like, if you think you have it all and you think you know it all, I feel like those people just suck to be around. I don't know. It's just like, man, you got to be open to understanding and learning new things every day, or else like you're just annoying.
I hear you. Just like the know-it-all people. Yeah. Do you, like, looking back on life, 30 years, do you think you're exactly where you expected to be?
That's a good question.
I have a lot of those.
I like that, man. That one makes me ponder a little bit. Honestly, I don't know. Because, growing up, it's kind of what I wanted to be was a professional lacrosse player. Wanted to have, I probably thought I'd have a family by 30. And I've got, a beautiful fiance, soon to be my wife. I think that's a beautiful thing about life is naturally, no one has a set time frame, and everyone's time frames move differently, right? So, I think that's kind of the cool thing about it. If I look back at it, do I think it's where I was gonna be? I don't know, but it feels right now. Yeah.
Do you feel like in some way you manifested where you're at right now?
Yeah, to a point. I think at the end of the day, I've been extremely blessed, with different opportunities and whatnot. And I think, in life, you need to have certain things just fall properly. And I think there's a little bit of luck in that, especially, the way my journey went. But yeah, it's something that, I think I was just obsessed with the process and obsessed with, where I wanted to be and who I wanted to be. And that's just constantly thinking about it, constantly trying to figure out, how to be successful. And I think, naturally, it's some type of form of manifestation for sure.
So you grew up in what, Westminster?
Yeah, New Westminster.
How far is that from here?
Drive.
Too far?
Drive, you're looking at like 38 hours.
Okay, so you're on the whole other side.
Yeah, I'm Vancouver, West Coast. Yeah, 6 hour, 5 hour flight.
Have you ever made that drive?
Yeah, 3 times.
And how was that?
Miserable.
Yeah.
I'll take that back. The first 8 hours are tough
Mm-hmm.
because you're looking down at a GPS that says, 36 hours to
right.
go, right?
You're like, this is like days from now.
Yeah, I'm like, how do you actually want me to
Yeah.
survive this? But then, you hit a point where it's almost like therapy in a way because it's just peaceful. You got nowhere to be. You got no one to talk to, right? And it's just you and your car ripping through a bunch of mountains and valleys, and it just kind of puts your mind at ease. Um, the last 12 hours, you start, getting into a little bit too many Red Bulls and,
Yeah, right.
and all that, right?
Yeah.
Just to try to power through. But it definitely has its ups and its downs for sure.
So growing up there, how's the weather compared to like here?
Very different, man. And this is actually kind of a big reason why I wanted to, put my roots down in Buffalo, is the weather in Vancouver. And like growing up in it, you didn't really realize, how rainy, how gray it was year round. It was just, it was what it was. When I went away to school to Long Island and I came home, I remember, spending the summer and a little bit after, and I'm like, man, this is crazy. It's just always raining. It's always, cloudy. During the summer, you'll get, some better weeks of rain, of sun, and it's beautiful. One of the most beautiful places you'll ever see when it's sunny, right? But that's like, 15 to 20% of the time. And that's kind of why I love the weather here is, even though it's crazy cold, it's brick out, right? You'll still get blue skies and sunny, right? And that to me, for my mentals, goes a long way. So very, very different weather for sure.
Did you always have the vision of playing lacrosse, or were you in any sports like hockey?
Yeah, I grew up playing hockey and soccer and lacrosse. I think, I was always kind of wanting to play either hockey or lacrosse. And then when I was 16, I was kind of forced to pick one or the other. And at that point, I was like maybe 5'5", 5'6", and like $120. I was just small, and I was terrible at hockey. Like I was fast, I had good hands, but I was just getting bodied like crazy. In lacrosse, I could kind of, slither my way a bit more. So that was kind of the route that I ended up trying to go, and a little bit less competitive because everyone and their mother's trying to play hockey and make it to the NHL. So that ended up being the route that I went. Yeah.
Do you feel like the journey to hockey is more difficult than the journey to lacrosse?
I think so. As the sport of lacrosse is growing, it's going to get tougher and tougher. But yeah, man, I think, hockey's become so big that, everyone's trying to make it to the NHL. There's multi-million-dollar contracts out there. You've got these parents that are going crazy and doing wild things to get their kid, exposed and recruited, right? So, yeah, it's definitely, I would say it's probably harder to make it in the NHL than in the NLL or the PLL. But that being said, I think, lacrosse is growing extremely fast, and it's getting to that point where, it's getting a lot more competitive, which is good. It's good for the sport.
I feel like professional lacrosse is for some reason being held like as almost like a secret. Like, cause like once you get involved in the space and you like learn about the space, you're like, how is this not bigger?
Yeah.
And I just feel like there needs to be so much more that like the outside offers professional lacrosse to make it that way, because it's already there.
Yeah.
Like, like you guys are, no disrespect, selling out an arena for a hockey team that doesn't even do that. And it's like, and it's like it kind of just goes under the rug. Like, yes, you guys have an insane fan base, but also like I just feel like it doesn't get the respect it deserves as well.
100%, 100%, man. That's part of it, right? And like any major sporting league, it starts with TV deals, right? So you need those big TV deals to come in and start rolling in, and at the end of the day, it's like anything, man. Like you need people to want to watch it, and to be entertained by it, right? So you need eyeballs.
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple. And I wish that we would get more like TV games of the week, TSN games of the week, ESPN games of the week, because Buffalo is just such an incredible city. And you see our fan base, they come out, they show out. We had 19,000 in there rocking that thing, going nuts. And when people start to see that, they're going to start to get behind their own teams and their own individual cities. So it's one of those things where we're fortunate where we play for Buffalo, and Buffalo just always rallies around their sports teams. But there's some places that it's dressed like a seat night, and it's tough to go play in those.
And
arenas.
there's also a lot of teams that are just relocating year after year and just getting completely taken out.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what do you think causes that?
It's tough, man. I'm not trying to bad talk anyone in the league or anything like that, but like, for instance, to me, we have the Panther City Lacrosse Club, and something as simple as this, where it's like, where's Panther City, right? It's not technically a real city, right? It's out of Fort Worth, right, Texas, and it's like something as small as that, right? For the people of Fort Worth, they know what Panther City means and whatnot, but like they don't know necessarily. It's like, Fort Worth, this is the Fort Worth Lacrosse Club. This is the Fort Worth Panthers, whatever it is. It's little things like that I feel like we continue to miss on, where, people aren't really getting behind their city, right? And you go to a place like Texas where, people are proud, right? And they want to represent wherever that they're from. And, I feel like a little bit it's tough to kind of get behind that. When it's not called the Fort Worth Panthers,
and they're a team that's relocating, right?
So I believe there's been rumors with it that they're supposed to be relocating. Who knows, man? I feel like there's always speculation about every team, and a bunch of different teams that could be going places, but you never really know. I mean, from the outside looking in, they don't do that great with fans. So I'm sure it's probably a thought is, they want to put it somewhere where they're going to get good crowds and people are going to really stand behind them. So, I mean, it could be something that's probably in the works. We'll see. What
do you think about soccer coming to Buffalo?
Is it supposed to be coming above?
Yeah. They're building an arena for it and everything, professional soccer.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
That's sweet, man. That's sweet. I think, like I said before, man, Buffalo is a city that always wraps their arms around sports teams. And, no matter if they're good, if they're bad, the people of Buffalo are always going to stand behind them. So that's exciting, man. That's cool that, they're going to keep building and bringing in more sports teams to Buffalo. I think the city deserves it. And, anyone who gets to come here and play will be lucky for sure.
Do you feel like, Buffalo as being who we are as individuals and like a fan base is a staple of why the Bandits as an organization in the city are so successful? Yeah,
I do. And it's funny because, when I got drafted here in 2017, when I first said I was coming to Buffalo, some of my friends back in Vancouver, they're like, Buffalo, New York, have fun there, man. And it's like, I had no idea what Buffalo was like, right? And, it was one of those things where you don't know about the city until you've been here and actually seeing what this city is about and what the people are about, right? Because Buffalo's full of the most genuine people that I've ever met, and it's really cool to be a part of that. And I think part of what's cool about it is that people don't know about it, right? So the whole keep Buffalo a secret thing, right? Man, it's real. It's awesome, and I think naturally our sports teams start to embody that, right? With the Bills, with the Bandits, with the Sabres, the guys that come in and stay long term, they all kind of have that same DNA built within them, where they're just good, genuine, hardworking people. And I think that's why the fans really rally behind us.
So going back a little bit, speaking of getting drafted, let's talk about your obviously getting drafted, but we'll even go before that because you have a different story than most as far as your journey
Yeah.
into professional lacrosse. So take us from, when you really had to make that decision from hockey to lacrosse, and what were the next steps of that going forward?
Yeah. It was one of those things where, my family, um, we weren't necessarily like well off, but we weren't struggling either. But like my mom pretty much was like, listen, like you need to get a full ride. If you want to go to college, like you need to get a full ride. Like we don't really have the funds to be throwing, hundreds of thousands of dollars at college. Um, and, at that point in time, it was, I don't want to say easier in lacrosse, but lacrosse wasn't exactly as big as some of the other places, and it was a little bit more sought after. So, I decided to try and get a Division I offer for lacrosse and get a Division I scholarship. That didn't work. My grades were poor. I didn't take school seriously. I was all in from the lacrosse sense, but didn't really quite understand the whole formula, right? Where you need to make sure that your grades are good, as well as being a great athlete, as well as taking care of your body and all that, those other little things that come with it as well. So, I had a couple of D1 offers, and then they get my transcripts, and then all of a sudden just get ghosted. Yeah. I'm like, man, come on, like really? Yeah. Like this is what this is about? Like I thought, people would be able to pull strings, but nah, that's not how that works. So I got an opportunity to go play at a junior college in Manhattan called ASA Community College, which that was a full experience in itself. Living Upper East Side Manhattan, they paid for pretty much everything. Unreal experience. There was probably 5 of us that could actually pass and catch, which made it a little bit more difficult, but still a lot of fun. But it was crazy, like going to school there. Even the teachers didn't even know what ASA stood for, and like nobody, you would just go around and ask. No one knew. Mm-hmm. Nobody had any idea. It was that kind of like almost like underground. It was a weird school to be at. So when at the end of that year, Nassau Community College was on Long Island, and I was thinking about going to Hofstra University, and they're right next to each other. So that's kind of, what made me want to transfer to Nassau, as well as they were like second in the country for JUCOs for lacrosse. So skipped over to Nassau, did my thing, had fun, met a bunch of great people, messed up in school again, right? And at this point, I was fully committed to Hofstra, had a full ride, was at the point where my dreams were coming true. And, I was this close to making it to Division I level, and I dropped the ball with my grades. So long story short, but basically in Canada, your junior lacrosse is like insanely important. And it's about that age between, 17 and 21, where you only have, 4 or 5 years to win a Minto Cup. And that summer between Nassau and Hofstra, I was supposed to go home, play my final year, make a run at a Minto. And I was stuck with a choice of, hey, you either have to stay at Nassau and take 28 credits during summer school. Pretty much meant I was going to school for pretty much 8 hours a day for the entire summer for 3 trimesters. But I couldn't go home to play my junior ball. So I ended up making the decision that I wasn't going to go home. Stayed over the summer in Long Island, and just really, just went after it and really dug down into school and finished it somehow. I don't know how, man, but 28 credits in one summer is insane. But got it done, and then made my way to Hofstra. And really the guy that changed my mentality and just like kind of started to mold me as a man was my coach, Seth Tierney. And he really was hard on me, but, you know, was like another dad for me as well. And would always, you know, push my buttons in the right ways and would show me the right ways to go about things, whether that was, you know, working hard in the classroom, you know, getting after it in the weight room, or doing extra work to be better at lacrosse. But also, you know, morally showing me, you know, what it takes to be, you know, a good person as well. And he's kind of the person that I owe the most to when it comes to, you know, the route that I ended up taking and how everything kind of played out.
So from there, what was it like, you know, going into D1?
Yeah. At first, man, I was nervous. You know, it was something that I'd been looking up to since, you know, I was in 8th grade, watching highlights of Division I lacrosse players. You know, I was watching Syracuse, Johns Hopkins, all these, you know, nasty Division I programs, and it almost always felt like it was like a level above me. So when I first got there and I had my first couple practices, you know, I was very timid, very shy, being some JUCO kid coming in and, you know, trying to make a Division I roster. You know, after, you know, the first couple weeks, I was like, all right, man, like, you know, I can play here, like, I can ball out, right? And so slowly started to kind of develop confidence in myself. And, you know, Coach T was always the one that would just keep pushing me, keep boosting me, and keep, you know, fueling me with confidence and telling me to play, you know, with swagger and creativity and not to think and just play and just enjoy it. And yeah, man, we my first year we were okay, did pretty well, but, you know, didn't make too much noise. My second year, you know, we were number 1 in the country. I think we were the only team left at 10-0, and, you know, Hofstra wasn't a big lacrosse school like that. You know, we didn't end up making the tournament that year, but it was one of the coolest teams that I'd been a part of, and, you know, taught me a lot about who I was and you know, the people that I wanted to surround myself with, and yeah, ultimately was one of the best years of my life for sure.
You spent 2 years there?
Yeah, 2 years there.
And then after that, is that when you got drafted?
Yeah, so originally got drafted in 2017 it was, 2017, into a league called the MLL, which that league's not around anymore. And that was the first pro field league. And yeah, I was supposed to go like top 10, and I think, you know, Florida had like 7 of the top 10 picks, and their coach was like, we're gonna take you with one of those, like, just know that. Like, I was like, all right, cool. And having a little watch party at my boy's house, and first 10 picks go by, nothing, don't hear my name. I'm like, yo, I'm getting played, man. Yeah. Like, and I'd only talked to Florida, and they didn't really have a whole lot of draft picks, you know, in the next couple of rounds. So I'm like, man, I might be screwed here. And then sure enough, I can't even remember what pick it was, but the Chesapeake Bay Hawks ended up taking me, and then I didn't even like speak to their coaching staff. I never even talked to them, and they just took me on a whim. And yeah, I got super lucky with them because the team that I was walking into was legit, and they were literally just missing a lefty attackman, and that's what fit my build. So I got to walk in there and you know, sat my first game, and they do it right. Like, any rookie that comes in, they bring them in, let them kind of get a lay of the land. They watch the first game just so they get a feel for it, and then if they want to play them, they'll play them the second game. So I sat my first game, and I was like, whoa, this is a different environment, different feel, and they did pretty good with fans too. But then my second game, or my first game that I played, I was ready. I was like, okay, I feel comfortable in this, and you know, my rookie year, I ended up lighting it up. You know, played really well, and yeah, that team was just so stacked that I was kind of like the lost man on that team. And so like all the attention was on, Lyle Thompson, Miles Jones, Matt Danowski, Colin Heacock, like just tons of massive names. And I was just kind of sliding under the radar and got to finish the rock a bunch. So, yeah, my first year was cool in Chesapeake for sure.
Like going out there in your first game, are you like kind of nervous? You're like, do I be aggressive and shoot, or do I just pass it and just kind of like stay in my lane? Like, at what point do you have to like flip the switch? Like, I got to be aggressive and kind of like play my game.
Yeah. So in my first game, we were playing in Rochester, and I was like totally in that mindset of like, hey, like just don't mess up. Just play conservative, move the ball. When you have a chance, finish, and just kind of be a good complementary piece, because we had so many big names. It was like, listen, let them do all the work, ball out and do your thing and just kind of be there when you need. In my first shift, they passed the ball down to me, and I had no idea who any of the defenders were. This dude, Mike Manley, who's an animal, still to this day, he's playing in the league and he's a beast, and a great dude too. But I didn't know who he was. And I catch the ball, I throw it back up top to someone coming out of the box, and like a second after I throw the ball, I just feel this massive slash and a cross check come across my ribs. I'm like, oh my God. And he looks at me and goes, welcome to the league, kid. And I'm like, oh. And something in my brain was like, all right, screw this.
Yeah.
All bets are off. Like, so at that point, it lit something under me, and I was just like in attack mode like the whole time. I think I had like 7 in my first game, like something crazy. Like, and like for a rookie, that's not normal, right? And yeah, ever since then it kind of just took off. But I thank Mike, because if he didn't come out and lay the lumber on me like that, it wouldn't have flipped that switch.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a great dude too.
They poked the bear.
Yeah. I didn't even want it to happen, man. I was just like, damn, that hurt.
Yeah, right?
Hurt my pride, hurt me deep.
Like, man, it's either I get embarrassed or I just show them who I am.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, it is what it is.
So what's the transition like from that to first overall by the Bandits?
Different. The MLL, was very social media based. And I kind of bought into it and was trying to grow my brand and whatnot. And back then, 2017, it wasn't, especially in the lacrosse world, if you were posting on Instagram and all that stuff, like people were judging you like hard. Excuse me. But like, so the field game and the box game, both leagues are very, very different. Right, field game is more like social media. They're trying to get clicks, trying to get views. The box game is more like old school, like kind of NHL feel. Like you do things a certain way. And so when I got drafted, I ended up going first overall. I was still in that mode of like trying to get clicks, trying to be like this social media influencer, whatever. And it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And so like I had a target on my head during training camp, where a lot of vets on the team were trying to humble me and take their runs at me and stuff. And I remember a couple different times during training camp, like again, it was the same thing. It was like people were trying to take hits on me. Like my helmet popped off probably 2 or 3 times. And I think a lot of people, because of the way I was on social media, thought I was just going to kind of like back down and kind of take it. But I was like, man, like I'm gonna try to play like kind of like how hockey is, like just like kind of gritty. And but man, like when you're young like that, coming into a league that's built off respect and you have to earn it and all that, you don't really understand it. You don't get it, right? And like I see that now as a guy who's been in the league for 7 years. Like if I came into the league right now, right? If someone came in that was just like me right now, I'd be looking at this kid like, yo, you need to learn some respect, right? So I'm glad that my teammates, pushed me into that kind of like, hey, like you need to understand and learn. And I had a couple great veterans, this guy called him Ingy, Craig England, absolute beauty, but understood, what it took to play the game and the respect that you needed to give the game. And, he had a couple conversations with me early and kind of, helped me to understand that, as well as Dane. I ended up, rooming with Dane from the first day I got to Buffalo, and he kind of, slowly took his jabs at me and made it so that he kind of like really just brought me under his wing and was like, listen, man, like I know this is how you've been in the MLL, but like this is how you got to do things in the NLL. And so like I thank him a lot because, he showed me how to be, a true pro and be humble but still be confident at the same time.
What was your first game experience? You didn't like trip or anything funny?
I don't think so, but like the photos are bad. The photos are really bad. I don't know what I was thinking or what I was doing, but I think my jersey was too small and stuff. I just looked like a magoo out there. But like my like welcome to the league moment though was like it's embarrassing, but we were in Rochester, and I was excited. I was ready to go. I was fired up, and I always play super loose. So in warm-ups, they had some good music going, and I was feeling it. And me and Chase Fraser were just dancing, having a good time while warming up and stretching and whatnot. And we ended up getting smacked like 17-4 or something like that. And it was just like, damn, like I wasn't ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
And in the next practice, our coach kind of called us in as a group, as a team, to start the practice, and was like pretty much like giving it to Chase and I for dancing and stuff, and then getting embarrassed and just like screaming at us in front of the entire team as two rookies. And that was kind of my point where I was like, all right, like maybe I need to, pull the reins back a bit here and start to try to understand the game a bit more and not take it for granted. So yeah, that was an intense one for sure.
So now, obviously being in the league for 7 years, and you look in the crowd and you see 80% of the fans in your jersey, how does that make you feel?
It's weird, man, because like I don't really feel that way. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't really look at it like that. It's obviously it's surreal, when people are and I've started to feel it. There's obviously been a bit of momentum built up over the last 2 years, with more and more people trying to support me, and that's obviously a really cool thing for me. But it still doesn't really feel like that. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's obviously it's cool when I get to talk with kids and to see the way that they look up to me, and they want to know how my stick's drawn. They want to know what I do during the day, to get ready, what I look for, all this stuff. And because I remember that being me when I was younger, and I had a couple dudes that I looked up to like that as well. And I remember going to a Vancouver Ravens game and getting my stick signed, and like I was like, yo, no one's ever touching this stick, right? So, and like now that it's me sign the stick, I don't necessarily give that to someone and feel that like it's surreal for me, because like looking back, like I know how I felt about getting that stick. I don't feel the same giving it to someone like, oh, you should treasure this. It's just like, for me, it's just like, hey, I'm doing a kid a solid. But yeah, it doesn't really feel like that, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's weird, man, for sure.
That's an interesting point, because I feel like a lot of people, or some people would just kind of be like kind of ego boosted, instead of just kind of being humble.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if it was just like the way that I was brought up. Like, no matter what type of success that I had, I was always trying to, I never really looked at it like that. My mom and my dad were always super on me about, staying humble. And I think naturally my personality was a little bit like you want to have fun and want to enjoy it. But I think they did a good job of, raising me like that. And yeah, I never look at myself like that. And I don't know if it's just the game of lacrosse that's like, it's not like the NFL. It's not like we're the NHL, right? Like, I'm just honored and blessed to have people supporting us, and, to have people wearing our jerseys and to be excited about the game. And for me, it's dope and it's awesome. But, it doesn't really change who I am as a person and who I want to be.
So what did the loss in the championship do to you as an athlete? Because I feel like that sat with you.
Yeah, hard, man. That was the first time where like mentally I was crushed. Like, like from like a mental health standpoint, like I wasn't right. And like it was kind of in the midst of like there was like an NLL memes account that got dropped, and like they were like taking hard shots at all the boys. Like they were coming after, myself, Dane, Chase, Klooch, all of us. And it was hard because, you couldn't even, like, naturally you go on your phone during the day, right? You're on social media, and it's like sometimes you use that as a bit of an out, and like everything you're seeing is just about how, like, you got embarrassed, or how you, like, because man, when you look back at that championship, like, we were supposed to win that. We were supposed to win that year. They had, their top point getter in Ryan Lee got hurt during playoffs. He was like going to be an MVP candidate. And then, in game 2, Eli McLaughlin, who was their second best player, got hurt as well. So he didn't even play game 2 or game 3. So we were at the point where it was like, man, like, we're supposed to win this. Like, we need to win this. Like, there's no reason for us not to. They're missing their 2 best players on offense, right? We should be winning this game. And our offense is loaded, right? Like, from, our top guy to our last guy, 1 through 7, all 7 of those dudes could all be, number 1. And even if you look at, like, a guy like Connor Fields, who ultimately ended up leaving us and is now, a guy who is lighting up the league for Rochester. But like, he was like, part of our like, when it's like, it was insane. Like, we were so talented, and like, man, when we lost, it like didn't feel like it was right. It didn't feel like it was supposed to happen. Like, I felt like the script was already written, and we were supposed to win that championship. And I think that's why we lost, because I feel like we all kind of felt like that, and we all kind of took it for granted. And so it felt like an embarrassment. But you look back, man, and like, Dylan Ward, who was the goalie for Colorado, played unreal. Like, their defense was extremely well coached, and their offense was doing just enough to get it done. And, big guys like Zeddy and Connor Robinson were lighting us up. And, everything happens for a reason. But, it makes you dig deep and, remember why you play. And, it sets a fire, and it lights a fire underneath you, man. And it's like, listen, I'm never going to allow that to happen again.
And what do you feel like that made you guys come into training camp and then, the next season and actually win it? What do you think the mindset was for as a team compared to that last year?
Man, it was just, there was a lot of emotions there, right? Everyone felt, embarrassed. And there was anger there. But it was also a sense of like, that happened, and like, we're still playing the next season, right? So it's not like, the world is coming to an end. And like, that was probably the worst way you could lose, and we did it and it happened, right? But like the world goes on, right? So it almost kind of took a little bit of pressure off of us, because it's like, like, you know, at the end of the day, like, it's a sport, you know, it's a game that you play. But like, it means so much more than just winning or losing. And, you know, I think this past year, we kind of had that attitude, you know, and going into the championship, even like, you know, we won the first game, lost the second, and it was almost like a carbon copy of the year before. And like during the game, guys were freaking out, but after the game, like no one was really like rattled like that. Whereas like after game 2 in Colorado, like we were rattled, like very just upset, like, you know, the world's coming to an end. It's like, man, like at the end of the day, it's just a game, right? You're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some, and no matter what happens, like it doesn't change who you are as a person. You know what I mean? Like you try to, you know, make sure that you're doing everything right from a personal sense, and you know, as long as you know that, you know, you do, and you're genuine and you're a good dude, right? Like everything else, it is what it is.
And now, how does it feel that everything is paid off from those moments?
Man, those, like the moments where you win the championship and, you know, the confetti's falling and all that, like it's crazy. Like it's you know, so much joy, so much happiness, a little bit of disbelief that it's even real. Like is this just a dream? Like what's really happening? But you know, I think that loss taught us that the world will still go on, right? You still have to come back and play next season. You still got to try to keep continuing to find ways to win. And, you know, now that this next, and people were trying to say like, oh, the reason why we're losing right now is like, oh, it's a championship hangover, blah, 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 all that stuff. It's like, nah, man, like this group is hungry. We still want to win. We get it. We understand it. You know, we've been to 3 and won 1, right? So it's like, you know, the goal is to now get to 4 and be at 2 for 4, right? So you got to keep fighting for it, right? Like, but you know, that win faded away faster than that loss did, right? Like, you know, you win and it's like, all right, nice, like what's next, right? There's no, you know, there's no one on social media chirping you. There's no one that's like, it's kind of like, cool, like that was dope, but like, all right, what else can we do? Like, how else do we get better? How else do we, you know, make this a dynasty now, right? And I think if you see that with any, you know, winning team, is like, I can't remember, you know, if it was a documentary or a show, but like, have you seen like the 30 for 30s, the Untolds? Was it with the Florida Gators?
Yeah.
Is it Urban Meyer? Was he the coach out there? I think they talk about, you know, like he wins and like not even 15 minutes after the game, he's already like texting people for like his recruiting class next year and be like, yo, how do I do this again, right? Like that's kind of the sick part about winning, is that like, yeah, it's awesome, it's great, right? But quickly you start being like, okay, how do I do it again? How do I recreate that feeling, right? It's like a drug. It's like an addiction where it's like you want to keep trying to find that winning feeling, because when you lose, it hurts. You know what I mean? It's like you're withdrawing, right? Like it's tough. But that's what keeps you working hard, man.
Did you won a championship with Chaos as well?
Yeah, 2021. I think that also
So that
helped.
was your championship experience, so you kind of already knew what it was like to win a championship.
Yeah.
Is that one more important than the NLL? I feel like that's a bad way to put it, because then obviously people will kind of point fingers.
Yeah,
but like obviously that's your first championship, so I would assume it'd be more valuable.
Yeah. So that one in the PLL, I guess it kind of taught us how to win. Because even so before that, right, we went to the one in 2019 against Calgary, lost the championship for Buffalo. I think the following year was COVID. In 2020, we had we played in the bubble for the PLL, went to the championship, lost in the championship, right? So those, like, we had championship experience, but we couldn't win. So like it was just like, man, like, are we just not built for this, right? And like in sports, there's these things where it's like, yo, you're either a winner or you're a loser, right? And like people try to draft people that like have won before and like they know how to win, and like it's a real thing. So like you start feeling like, man, like maybe I just don't know how to win. Maybe like I'm an okay player, but like maybe I just don't have that in me. And like when we did it in the PLL, it was like, all right, so this isn't just unreachable. It's attainable to be able to win. So I in that sense, like it was really like a breakthrough moment, but a little bit different, right? Because obviously it still means a ton, but it's not like we had like a city that was backing us. It's not like you're playing for a city that's has blood, sweat, and tears into it. So like, when we won in Buffalo, we had this championship parade where there's people coming out and thousands of people marching with us through the street, and like it's like, yo, like this is insane. Like this is this feels like another level. But like it's cool because obviously the PLL is now getting to a point where they're getting to city based, and the Carolina Chaos is who I play for now. So now you have this city to represent as well. So yeah, it's kind of one of those things where doesn't necessarily mean more. Neither one of them can mean more than the other. But they both have their pieces in time that taught me something about myself and our teams.
So this is a segment where fans get to ask questions, which is brought to you by Picasso's Pizza, which I actually can't wait to eat. So our first question comes from John Nateki. How much has the unified standings changed the way that you guys get ready for games? A lot more traveling and less games against the usual teams like Georgia, Rochester, and Toronto.
So, I mean, it doesn't really change the way that we, prepare and get ready for games individually. I think it's thrown a bit of a wrench into things, and because, you're playing teams that, for us, we never played before. Like, we've never played Panther City before. So, like, you're playing players and goalies and, the people that you've never actually like seen before on the floor. Like you've seen film, but like you don't know how they play or what they do. So that part makes it a little bit more tough. All right, you got to watch a little bit more film. But even so, like nothing really compares to real life and to understanding how they do things as well as how they coach, right? So, and that was I think a big thing for us was like when we were playing Colorado, like they adjusted so well to things that we were doing, especially in the first championship, that like we weren't ready for it, right? And so like you play them again in the second championship, and hey, expect them to adjust to this or try this, and to really like this worked in game one, like they're gonna do this in game two to try to fix it, right? So you're a little bit more prepared. But this year it's been very, very different, and I think games just made like each individual game means a little bit more. Like if you only play a team once. We played Georgia one time, and the winner of that gets a tiebreaker. So, like, depending on what happens in this next weekend, like, we lost that game. So, and that one game that we lost might control if we get a home game and play Georgia at home, or if we get an away game and play Georgia away because of where we ended up in the standings. Because I think we might end up being tied with them. There's a couple other teams that it could happen with too, but so that part makes it a little bit more intense where it's like, hey, you only play these guys once. Like, you need to have a good game against these guys, which is taking a little bit of time, but it is what it is.
Next question is also from John Nateki. He says, we all know Dane is your favorite teammate, but who is your second favorite and why?
Favorite teammate, second favorite teammate. Man, it's so tough because we're all so close, right? Like there's a bunch of us that have been playing together for so long, and just like have known each other for forever. So that's a tough one. Yeah, I don't even know like where I could go with that. Like second favorite teammate. Um, Part of me wants to say, um, no, I'll give to one of my dogs. Obviously, Chris Kluche is like my real like day one brother. Like I know, at the end of the day, like he'll always have my back. Like if I tell him, yo, we gotta do some things, he's looking at me like, yo, whose car are we taking? You know what I'm saying? So, that's definitely my dog.
All right, next question comes from Madison Grace on Instagram. What is your pregame snack?
Pre-game snack. I usually do those honey stinger waffles.
No.
Have you seen those?
Are they at Tim Hortons?
Nah.
No? I'm just thinking of the little, like the maple ones that they have.
Nah. They're like in a little package, and they're like it's like a mix of like high complex carbs and like honey. It's supposed to be really good for you to give you energy throughout the game. So honey stinger waffles, yeah, look them up.
Where do you get those?
Good. Dude, I gotta go Amazon.
Oh, so they're not something you get in the store?
Nah.
Okay, that's like your legit pregame
snack. Yeah. Right before and at halftime too.
So what is your Dunkin' Donuts order? Because that's obviously your go-to as well.
It's just a black iced coffee, man, light ice.
Why Dunkin'?
It's just close to the rink.
Fair.
I can't even front. Honestly, like I love Dunkin' coffee.
Should we throw a little plug in here?
We might have to, man.
Yeah.
They're legit. I mean, I've been using it for a while now, and I feel good during games.
How important is like routine for game day?
It's massive to me. To me, it's massive. And I'll even take it a step further, man. Like your routine during the week is massive, right? Like I think that's kind of something that I've focused on over the last couple of years is making sure, my routine throughout the week is on point, right? Because there's so much that you got to do for your body to make sure that you're good to go come Saturday or Friday. I think it's also like understanding, okay, if the game's Saturday, I'm going to hit legs on Monday for my workout, right? Chest, upper body Tuesday, whatever it is. Sorry, flip that. Chest Monday, legs Tuesday, right? Because you got a little bit longer time before the game. But like all of a sudden, if we have a short week and we have a game on Friday, I got to hit legs on Monday, right? To still give my body, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to recover from my legs. For me, that's kind of what I found has worked for me is to get my leg day in at least 3 days before. Because I don't want to be, out there dragging my legs around. Like, it's just not a fun thing.
Next question comes from JJJack17 on Instagram. Why has your goal song never been 22 by Taylor Swift? My wife is very upset about it.
So fun fact at Hofstra it was Taylor Swift 22. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's something about the rap vibe in the bank when it's just pounding in the speakers and it just gets me hyped up. I don't know, something about it just gets me fired up. I don't know if I could get hyped to T Swift. No disrespect to T Swift. She's crushing it too. I don't want no Swifties coming after me.
Does a lot go into picking like your goal song? Like, do you feel like it has to be like something that hypes you up that'll also hype the crowd up, or is it kind of just like a selfish thing? Like,
it's hard.
This is what it is for me.
If I did a selfish thing, then like no one would be liking it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what is this, right? But to me, I'm like, oh, this is dope, man.
I think it gets the crowd going too.
You need something that's like a contagious energy, right? That like also that you like, but also people like as well. Yeah, I mean, this was the first year that I kept my goals on the same. Back-to-back years, which I was always like, man, I don't know if I can do that. But I was like,
Do you feel like that's a superstitious thing a little bit too?
I feel a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was more like, man, like I liked the way it made me feel after.
Just kind of like when you get a little flexing right when the shit drops, you're just like,
like, But also, like, for me, there was this dude, Chad Woodson, who was disgusting, bro. Was nasty. Pro player. He played in the outdoor league, but he had a mixtape that was to that song, and I would always get hyped up, and he'd be jumping through the air and doing dunks and like reverse backhands, and like I was like, whenever I'd watch that mixtape, bro, I'd get hyped. Yeah. So like something about, I don't know, that energy just gets me fired up. So something about that song, man.
Is that song here to stay, you think?
I don't know, man.
I feel like it's kind of like a signature at this point.
So yeah, I
feel like when you score, everybody knows what's coming next.
Yeah, like, and
I mean, who doesn't mind listening to Jay-Z 6 times a game? Yeah. Either, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I kind of wanted to be something that like people hate from the other team.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, they're like, oh, this song again, man. Yeah. Like I don't want to go to Buffalo and listen to PSA drop. Like, like I kind of like that. Like, because other teams. It's funny because like Buffalo is one of the only teams that actually lets individual players pick their goal songs. Other teams will just have one for everyone. Yeah. So like Calgary has one, and it's just like you hear it, and it's like bang 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 bang. And you're like, oh, would you shut up? Yeah. Like, and it pisses you off, right? Yeah. Like, so I kind of want it to kind of be like that a little bit, but I don't know. We'll see. I might have to find some questions and see if there's any other good suggestions out there.
Did you like anybody give you suggestions? Like, what's the runner-up goal song? Like, what one didn't make the cut?
There was a couple. There's the John Cena WWE walkout song. Yeah. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah. That one was there, and I was like, it's not really the message that I want to be given, but it still got me hyped.
Next question comes from Joe Croom on Instagram. Who is the best So Buffalo, favorite food spot?
Ooh, favorite food spot. That's tough, man, because it depends on like what type of food we're looking at. You talking like, if you a night out? You trying to go on?
Like if you're gonna go to, I don't want to say dinner, but like that place you kind of just go where you can have drinks and just like food's good.
Yeah.
Give me one of those places, and then I'll go wing spot.
Ooh, okay. It's tough, man. Like I've kind of liked Hutch's. I've liked Hutch's. I know it's a little bit, higher up a little bit.
I mean, not everybody's got Josh Byrne.
But nah, man, I like Hutch's. But again, like that ain't like, hey, once a week we're going there. That's like, hey, it's a special occasion, something's kind of popping, we're celebrating something, go there, sit down, get a steak, whatever it is, grab some drinks with my girl, and, some friends, whatever it is. I love that spot. I love the vibe. It's just relaxed, chill. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's so many different spots that you could hit.
There's like so many holes in the wall. I feel like Buffalo's a hole in the wall on its own.
Yeah.
Filled with like a million holes in the wall. Kind of like my studio, just holes in my wall.
Yeah.
Favorite wing spot?
Dude, it's got to be Barbell.
Yeah.
For me.
What's the go-to?
The Cajun honey butter barbecue.
That's everybody's go-to.
Oh, dude.
I don't like barbecue, so that one's out for me.
Really, dude? Yeah. It slaps for me. Yeah. I don't know. Something about it. I've always been like a dry rub guy. Like I used to. When I was a kid,
get my Cajun too.
Yeah, I love that. And even like the salt and pepper a little bit. If you do a good salt and pepper, it's good. Some of the salt and peppers are kind of whack, but I think that's just growing up. My dad was always like that. So
ranch or blue cheese?
Yo, you trying to get me killed?
Hey, I'm a ranch guy. So
to be honest with you, it was ranch. I like blue cheese now. I love blue cheese.
We have different blue cheese though. I can agree to that. I don't hate blue cheese in any way, but I just like I grew up on ranch.
Yeah.
And I like ranch on my pizza more than anything.
Yeah. But blue cheese in Vancouver is a lot different than blue cheese in Buffalo. Very, very different. Which was funny. I think like my first year, you know how they do like a this or that segment, and
got yourself in trouble.
The whole team. So it was this or that. It was blue cheese or ranch, and it was like ranch, blue cheese, ranch, and the entire arena started booing us.
Yeah.
We were like looking at her like,
all of a sudden you see your jerseys left out on the seats.
yeah, I'm
like,
like, probably should have thought that one through, boys. But
how
but
many
nah.
people do you think lie? Like from professional athletes in Buffalo, how many people do you think they lie? They're like, they love ranch, but they're like, I can't say it.
All of them.
Yes.
All of them,
Yeah.
man.
Oh, I love blue cheese.
Yeah. Oh, man, blue cheese is great. And all the Buffalo people are like, yeah,
that's my guy.
Yep. I knew it. I knew you were one of us.
Yeah.
Like, and everyone's like, I love ranch.
Yeah. A lot of people stick by it. I think the whole dynamic, though, I'm not a fan of it. Like how people make it, how it's like very aggressive.
Yeah.
As far as like if you like ranch, you're just like, no, this guy's got to go.
I know. It's funny to me. I mean, I try not to take it too seriously, but like I've like come to love blue cheese, and I don't know if it was just forced upon me. And I'm just like, starting to take it in. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'm just a blue cheese guy. But yeah, no, the blue cheese here is definitely a lot better than like other places for sure.
Are you a big pizza guy?
I do like pizza. I try not to eat it as much. Every maybe couple weeks or couple months or so, I'll try to mix it in. But
you have a go-to spot
for pizza?
Yeah.
Not really. Who it used to be was the Grange in Hamburg.
Okay.
You ever been in the Grange?
Yeah.
They have some banging pizza.
It's the coal,
the wood fire,
yeah,
wood fire pizza. It's banging. Vice also has a good pizza. How about you?
I'm not gonna say Picasso. Yeah, it's Picasso.
Is it Picasso?
No, it actually is. That's why I let them kind of be a part of this with me because it's real. I didn't want to do anything that wasn't genuine. But I just like flavorful pizza.
Yeah.
Do you like a thinner New York style? Have you ever had Pharaoh's?
No.
So that's Josh's favorite spot.
Word?
That's in West Seneca, and then we have Gino and Joe's in the Main Place Mall, which is like the OG New York style pizza.
Really? But
they actually just opened a second location actually right up the street on Abbott and Southside. It's just like New York style, thin.
Word.
And there's not really many of those around here.
No, it's not. And honestly, when I was going to school in the city, like we were, dollar slices every day, man. Like just balling on a budget, just throwing pizza back. But I try to be a little bit, more conscious of what I'm putting in my body. Jets also has that's
my favorite pizza too.
A good spot. Jets is always good.
They have the best ranch too.
They have good ranch, man. No, don't kill me, but they got a good ranch. So yeah, that's like once in a blue moon. Like if I feel like I've been doing well, and Sunday's coming around, and I can just chill, grab a Jets pizza and relax.
I have a few of those boxes I need to check after this weekend.
Yeah.
That's probably one thing I miss the most. I just like to just chill. That's my thing. Like, just there's nothing like relaxing and eating something you enjoy. I feel like that's like it's almost more valuable than like sitting on the sand with the waves rolling up. Like, that's the fat kid in me.
That's a bold strategy, dude. Oh man. Listen, I think people need to take more time for themselves and make sure to kind of box out some time for themselves to really relax and chill. If it's pizza that gets you going, you gotta do that.
Yeah.
But that's my happy place, man. Is on the beach.
Yeah. Do you have a specific spot? Is it more like a vacation, or you're just cool with going to like Florida or something?
To be honest, man, like I don't get to go down to the beach or Florida very often, or Mexico, whatever.
That's probably why you value it so much.
Yeah, man, I think so. Because when I do, it's nice, man. I got my mom, she's from Trinidad and Tobago, so I got that Caribbean blood in me. So something about the beach just is kind of my piece. So yeah, man, I haven't really been able to get down to Florida too much. It's funny though, because we're looking for our second rental property right now, and it's kind of what I'm trying to hem and haw with is go down to Florida, like a Tampa area, or Bradenton or Sarasota or something. But Sarasota's got a bunch of stuff up now with permits and Airbnbs. You can't.
And my uncle's actually looking for a house in Sarasota, and he's been doing it for 3 years, and he hasn't succeeded.
Really?
Yeah, and they've flown down there probably 5 different times in this year, and just like it's been like a Band-Aid. Like, like, oh, it looks great, and then you get there, you're like, what the fuck? Yeah,
exactly. So that's what it worries me about Florida. A little hidden gem. I don't even know if it's hidden. To me, it was Charleston, South Carolina. Mm-hmm. Looking there as well as Charlotte. Charlotte's a little bit more inland, but you know, it's scary because all these places that are down the coast, right? Like, you risk that, like, oh man, if a hurricane drops in and blows the roof off the place, and you know, you're a 12-hour drive away, it's tough, right? Yeah. So, but yeah, man, no, it's definitely something that, you know, I want to try to put at the forefront going forward, is making sure that, you know, I do have some time to, you know, kick back, be at the beach and chill, and that's part of why I'm looking at some different places and some tropical areas. Hopefully, man, we'll see.
I hear that. I feel that.
Yeah.
So before we wrap this up, if you can give any advice to a younger athlete going the same route that you are as a very successful professional athlete, what is one gem of advice you would give them?
The one thing that I would say to any athlete who's trying to be successful is to make sure that you stay grounded. You know, you fall in love with the work, you fall in love with the process, you stay humble. You know, no matter what type of success you get, to always try to evolve, not only as a person, but, you know, as an athlete as well. Because at the end of the day, man, like, nobody's perfect. And, you know, no matter what level of greatness you get to, you know, you can always get better. You can always learn more. You know, any great athlete that you talk to, whether it's, you know, guys like Michael Jordan, or you hear Kobe Bryant speak, like, they were always just in love with the process and trying to figure out ways to get levels up on guys and a way to better themselves. So stay grounded and stay humble and keep working.
Agree.
Amen.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you stopping by. And you also have a podcast yourself. Do you want to plug that in for the 3 people who are going to watch this?
Yeah, the Dane and Josh show. You know, you can check it on any YouTubes or our socials or Bandit socials. Wherever you get your podcast, check us out. You know, we might have to do a little collab soon or something. But yeah, it's always good chopping it up. I appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we head out of here, don't forget that today is a very special day. So it's only right we sing happy birthday.
Let's go.
Here you go.
My man. I appreciate
red velvet.
You. Red velvet cake?
I just took a shot. I was like, either vanilla or chocolate. I'm like, no, let's get crazy.
I like it.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Josh.
My man.
Happy birthday to you.
Hey, thank you, bro. Appreciate you, bro. Yo, the vocals are immaculate.
I figured. I'm going to put auto-tune on this when I post it.
A little T-Pain action.
Yeah, I'm going to sound nice. Fuck, well, appreciate you stopping by, brother.
100%, bro. Appreciate it.
I can't take no loss. I don't even know what it